it's not give us a go.
No, it hasn't. But we are going.
How are we doing, mate?
Yeah, good. Cool. We're kids are back to school, all of that stuff. Like everyone's starting to come back into the gym. Yeah, an extra bank holiday this weekend, obviously for sad reasons. London's pretty crazy at the minute. Like, just everyone's either working or not. Like compared to normal, it's just really different.
Yeah. Well, I saw on the news last night that the queue was almost 3 miles long to go and see the Queen. I was like, holy shit. So yeah, you got me.
Just about. There we go. I can hear you now.
Yeah,
You're talking about the queues for the Queen.
Yeah. 3
Yeah,
miles long.
like 5 kilometers long or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's what last time I saw.
New phase starting.
Yes, yeah, excited. We're back in kind of getting a little bit more specific towards like the sport of CrossFit, should I say? Even though that's like a very small part of running an affiliate, it's quite an influential part of an affiliate, as in from CrossFit's point of view, a lot of their content comes out. A lot of people aspire or watch or mimic or like have icons who do the top sport. So it's always good to be kind of flirting in and out of doing their things.
Definitely. Me and Steve were chatting to Carl Stedman the other day, and we were on about that kind of topic, where we're saying that your competitive members inspire your everyday members, and you also get some great support from your everyday members for the athletes as well. And obviously, members tick off goals, and you know it works two ways. Which some gyms don't get.
Yeah,
they don't nurture both sides, do they?
Yeah.
But we think that's pretty important to do.
No, totally agree. Like who goes to watch Strength in Depth? Who goes to who travels out to the games? Who supported you in 2017, 2019? Like there are other elite level athletes out there supporting if they don't quite make it. But ultimately it's the everyday member, it's the friends, the family that just do CrossFit 3 to 5 times a week. They're the ones filling it up. And then if there wasn't that thing filling it down, would these guys and girls be as invested in the sport? People play recreational football, and I guarantee those people that are playing 5-a-side 2-3 times a week are massive football fans.
Yeah, they are. It's so true.
It's a different one because obviously you can just pick it up and try and do what those guys are doing. Whereas with rugby, you wouldn't dare to like try and run like Johnny May or do what Johnny Wilkinson was doing unless you're like a bit of a batshit crazy. But yeah.
Cool. Let's get stuck into just a quick overview. Let's get stuck into a quick overview of the phase.
Yep.
Kept it a bit more simple this time, haven't we?
Yeah, sorry, I lost you just a little bit. I'm going to talk about the strength stuff. Is that what we're going to do?
Jamie, I'm going to get you to go into it, and I'm going to refresh my internet.
So okay.
You talk, and I'll go.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got you. So guys, on the strength phase, we're looking at blending off of a big back squats block where we've gone 5s, then we've gone into 3s, and we finished with a heavy 3RM this week. Little shout out to RS3, who I saw were absolutely banging so many PBs on their 3RM, which is great. The new phase now, we're looking at trying to build into like a preparatory phase for the clean. So the clean is going to be our strength focused movement kind of going forward. But before we do that, we need to kind of build those positional areas. So our strength block now is going to consist of a 3-position clean deadlift or clean pull from the floor and some paused front squats. So with those in mind, we're going to look at combining them within the same session, but you would still do them separately. And I'm basically looking at this as a segmented clean as a way of looking at it. And then in time, as we build those positional strengths, we'll then start to blend it into the more dynamic movement of the clean, and then hopefully we'll see some gains and rewards. What I will say is we'll go into a bit more detail about how the sessions will flow when we get into the week. But yeah, that's where our strength focus is going to be focused. Moving on to our next area of focus on the gymnastics side of it, we will be focused on the chest to bar as our next phase. And we're going to slightly adjust the format compared to normal, where we've been using the time under tension format, which has been great, reaped rewards. But what we find is with the everyday member, we want to keep it fun and varied. So the next phase that we've got is going to be based. Are you back in the room? I'm just onto the gymnastics now. We're going to adjust that format. So we've got some alternating Imams, where the alternating Imam, you're going to select the style of Imam depending on your ability level. So if we think of the top level member, you're going to look at some direct interference that might, with the chest to bars, come from rowing or potentially ski erg or something that's going to affect the upper body. Then we'll look at a slightly less affecting exercises, so some shuttle runs, some bike or something along those lines. And then if we've got where some of our members are going to stick to where the chest to bar is not an exercise that comes naturally to them, or we've got a certain volume, in this case probably less than 5 reps in a go, we're probably looking at doing chest to bars in every minute, so we're not going to alternate between that and an exercise that interferes. So with that being said, again, when we get to, I think it's on Wednesday session, we'll go into more detail about how that format's going to work going forward. And then the final focus, I say focus, the final area of the kind of 3-headed monster that we have in CrossFit or the GPP or the aerobic side of it. I'm going to read it from the notes that we were talking to each other. We're a GPP program. So we'll always have a large dose of good old fashioned CrossFit, and that's going to continue. The one thing we do mention is that keep a good eye for the crossover from what we offer and what the athlete plan offer. We're going to try to really marry up some of those workouts because we feel strength work is very specific. Gymnastics work can be very specific. And if we think of that athlete member or that person that's on the JST athlete program, they might be doing they might be doing way more. Whereas with workouts, you tend to find there is a closer gap in terms of the style changes. Everyone can near enough be doing the same thing, hence why CrossFit is actually so effective. So you'll see plenty more CrossFit coming forward.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to a little bit more of a crossover between the
if I hear him in the neck
plans.
There we go.
Looking forward to a bit more of a crossover between the two plans, just because it's good for members to see or be taken out of the comfort zones by... I don't know if it's gone. His thing is gone.
No, I can hear you.
I'm going to carry on. As I was saying, it's good for... Members can get complacent, so good to see someone beating them. For example, sometimes for your athletes that are in the gym, your competitive members, they struggle to push that intensity, and we obviously sometimes when we speak to the athletes at regionals, they say, "Oh, we're dipping the class," so get that bit more intensity out of the workouts as well. So it's like two sides of the coin, it works both ways. Nice to keep your gym as a close-knit community as well. So there's plenty of reasons as to why we want to see a bit more of that crossover.
Jack seems to have gone. His dial-up broadband's failed him.
Right. We've gone through the phase overview. So let's get more specific into this week and what's going to be happening.
Right. I'm going to take the lead.
So
I'm going to start talking through this week. I think Jack will come back online when he gets a chance. So let's go into Monday and talking about our strength benchmarks. This is our strength benchmark for the next phase. We have a 20-minute window and we're going to complete both of these elements.
And then we've got the 3-rep max 3-position deadlift as well. So for that, there's going to be plenty of poses in it, and that's obviously going to cap the intensity a little bit, but it's also going to give a good opportunity for refining of technique as well as building positional strength. If you hit good positions, you are strong in good positions throughout the clean pull, obviously you're going to be in much better stead when it comes to actually, doing the cleans there as well. So we've got that 3 rep max 3 position deadlift. So those are going to be completed in a 20-minute format, so similar to kind of like how a CrossFit Total would be, just a little bit more specific to the weightlifting side of things, which will be interesting to see and do. Other thing I want us to note and bear in mind is that this kind of phase will be 4 weeks long with a deload, so deload or reload as we tend to call it on the class plan a bit more, will be the 5th week. So expect us to test the same complex of the 3 position clean deadlift in that 5th week, or potentially at the start of the next phase, depending on how things progress from there. Okay. For the workout to round up the day, good old simple couplet. Looks very similar to a variation of Annie. He's back. Hello. Are you back?
I'm going to talk through the week. It looks like it is recording. We've had an absolute mare with Jack's dial-up broadband. So I'm going to talk about that week. Monday, strength benchmark. So this is the area that we're going to focus on going forward. And what we've got here is a 3 rep max front squat with a 3-second pause in rep 1 only. So we're going to travel down into the bottom of the squat, hold for a good long 1, 2, 3, and then stand up. The next 2 reps are just without a pause. And the goal here is to use that time to build up. I'd probably say 10 to 12 minutes on the squat, and then the remaining time on our clean position or 3 position clean deadlift. And with that, it's on the way up and the way down. So it does really limit the intensity in terms of the loading. We'd possibly be looking at maybe 110 to 115% of our 1 rep max clean as a rough guide if we've got good balance and good strength in our clean already. Those pauses are an inch off the ground. They're just below the knee, they're just above the knee, stand up all the way. Then we're going to stop at just above the knee, just below the knee, and then 1 inch off the floor with a nice position. And then once you've done that, you're going to come straight back up for reps number 2 and reps number 3. Hook grip's essential. Let's make sure we're nicely dialed in on there, making sure everything's super, super tight. We're going to be retesting this, and how we're going to blend this. We'll start to continue to have both of these elements within the same session. So it's a basic segmented clean. Now, the workout after, obviously, is just a short and sharp move up, 50 double unders, 25 sit-ups, just a take on Annie with a slightly different variation, just to get some good midline. And there's nothing too crazy on here. Just push that pace out and then aim to hold that intensity across all of the rounds. Moving on to Tuesday, we've got, again, this is where CrossFit comes in. This is off of the athlete plan, shall I say. We've got a 3-minute AMRAP, 1 minute rest, and we've got 5 rounds of it. Great quality workout here. Within this, we've got 3 squat cleans. Again, going below parallel, we're still going to continue working through here. Hello, Jack. You are back in your talk. We're recording for 2.5 minutes. I'm just on the Tuesday because I just kept talking. So I'm hoping that didn't cut me off, but I'm pretty sure it's been recording the whole time because I can see it in the top timer.
Yeah, so I talked through Monday while you were off, and then I think you talked through Monday while...
Okay. Well, let's hopefully we said the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think
we just went into detail on how that's going to be our phase going forward with the strength work. I was just stuck onto Tuesday. I'm going to keep going even if Jack does freeze here. We've got 3 squat cleans, 6 kip and handstand push-ups, and then 9 swings. Within this, the squat clean's more of a skill base today. We're just looking at dropping ourselves into the bottom. It shouldn't feel too heavy. That's going to massively tax you. It may get a little bit lower backy towards the end with in combination with the kettlebell swings. But the handstand push-ups are there to kind of break up that lower body and that back-based element. Within these, we're going to carry on from where you left off. So just always make a note, and your score will be your total rounds on this workout. So you won't always be on the squat cleans when you start. You might be halfway through a different element. Some things to think about in here, certainly when you're scaling, is choose a number of handstand push-ups or a scale that allows you to kick up and then just get that work done. You don't want to have to be breaking those handstand push-ups throughout the entire workout. So you want to be able to roll yourself straight through. That's also on the athlete plan. So let's just make sure if you've got any athletes in there, get them to jump in and they've got their variations to run through. Moving on to the Wednesday. The Wednesday sees the first session of our gymnastics focus going forward, and it's chest to bars. This first session and test kind of doubles up because that first minute, that first set will give you a good idea and a good benchmark going forward. So we'll also look at taking the total number of reps as our score, just because the sheer fact that across our 6 sets on our gymnastics, we can then look at taking that total number. So the intricacies of this, for the first week, I've written this in hardest to easiest on the notes. So we've got 2 options for rowing. The first one, we have a standardized distance or calorie number, so 15 or 12 calories. Then we've got the same movement, but again, super easy rowing. We're just steadily moving through with no priority on the number. Then we've got 45 seconds on the bike. And then if we're not able to hit ourselves any more than 5 plus chest to bars in that minute, we're going to look at then using chest to bars every minute on the minute for those 12 minutes. This is going to allow us to accumulate volume. This is where a lot of people potentially are going to sit themselves. And then obviously standard drills apply for our scaling for the chest to bar. We go chin over the bar pull up, we go bandage strict pull ups. Okay. This format is going to stay for a little while. Again, we'll be dropping it in weekly across different days in the week, and then we will play around with the interference. So for instance, this is a predominantly pull-based interference for that top-level athlete. But again, we might have something that has double unders, which might be shoulder fatiguing. And again, that has a massive bearing on our ability to do chest to bars. Now, the workout equally is tough. In a 10-minute window, run a mile. In the remaining time of that 10-minute window, max burpees. Good old-fashioned fitness test. If you're running a 6 to 7 minute mile, you're going to have a good amount of time on those burpees. And a couple of things to consider. If you've got a decent runner, I want them to really try and push the burpee pace, because we know they can run hard, but what we don't want to see is someone come in and then put their hands on their knees. And on the flip side, if you've got someone who's looking at cruising on the run so they can really smash the burpees, for instance, myself, I'd say I'm good at burpees when I'm fresh. When I'm really tired, I really struggle with them, and my running is shocking because I don't do enough of it. I would really be focusing my attention on trying to run as hard as I can in that mile, so then I get a real good training effect from it. On the Thursday, it says a cheeky little EMOM. It's not a little EMOM, it's quite a big EMOM, 36 minutes, and we're rolling ourselves through quite a huge variation of elements here. We've got some double unders in there for skill practice. We've got some side planks. We've got some rest stations, some shuttle runs. Just a good mismatch of exercises that are going to allow us to get moving and then get yourself a nice big sweat on. The shuttle run with the down up at each end. I know Jack had done this in a competition recently, and I know at TO we've got lots of outdoor space. So kind of Malcolm, so running and down ups are very much a staple of the programming. And they do get better the more you practice. So it's definitely something to kind of sink your teeth into and play around with those skills. The wall balls are going to be good to just prime the legs. They're always there to 18 wall balls. Doesn't feel like many, but again, if you're of that level, trying to focus on having 18 unbroken wall balls each time to get yourself in there. That's the clearest I've seen you, Jack. You're looking really fresh there. I'm on to Thursday, and I'm just talking through the cruisy one on the Thursday. Well, I've just finished talking through that. We're now on to Friday, where we've got an athlete plan, if I can get my words out here. And it's an equal work to rest period. So it's slightly adjusted for the class format. So whenever you see equal work to rest or one-to-one work to rest, should always fill you with a little bit of fear, because there's a substantial amount of work as well as to accompany the rest. So 3 minute window, 300 meter row, you're looking at probably a minute. to a minute and 20 for some people. 12 thrusters. Again, that's going to probably take you up until the end of the second minute once you've done your transition, if you're thinking for the everyday member having a little mosey over. And then in the remaining time, probably got a minute's worth of bar muscle ups. Now, for some people, this might be an opportunity to kind of really test how big an unbroken set. That's a good way to build confidence and kind of know where you are when you're tired. Or if you're looking at really trying to shoot out that number and getting as many reps as possible, is it more beneficial to do 3 to 5, or is it beneficial to do singles? I think back to the open workouts, which had the increase in difficulty in gymnastics, toes to bar, then chest to bar, then bar muscle up. I had a bit of a stinker and I had a bit of a bad back, so I had to break up the barbell. But then when I got to the gymnastics, all that happened was earlier on, I broke everything up really like small and smart. And it meant that when I got to the muscle ups, I was able to maintain sets of 3 to 5. And it meant that the people that were a little bit ahead of me, I was able to catch them up, and it was like you could see them doing the ones. So whenever I look at workouts like this, I'm like, normally the best CrossFitters are the ones that can manage their gymnastics under fatigue. Most people can row 10 seconds slower and still survive. Most people can do 2 sets of thrusters and still keep moving. But ultimately, when it comes to muscle ups, if you're not getting them, you're not getting anywhere. I can hear you.
Yes. Question. So if people can do bar muscle ups when they're relatively fresh and they'd like to maybe give them a go during this workout, how would you excuse me, would you switch the workout around? Would you tell them to pace the front half of the workout a little bit more? How would you play that side of things?
It's a very good question. I think what I would look at doing, and there's 2 reasons behind it. The first reason is like inclusivity. So I would try to keep the order the same, but I would have a real good conversation with reducing the distance on the row, reducing the intensity on the thrusters, so then they still finish with the muscle ups. So the illusion for the beginner member going, oh, why am I not doing that? Because they might feel like they're getting the special treatment. It's not necessarily the person doing it that's going to be feeling that, but it might be the person who's been in a month and doesn't understand the format behind it. So inclusivity would mean that I would just look at scaling that. And then secondly, for gymnastics under fatigue, or in CrossFit in the open, there is always interference that makes those other exercises tough. So we do have a specific session in the week, which is based around upper body pull-in, which is gymnastics focused, whereas I'd still want those members that potentially struggle with muscle ups to still be getting an aerobic effect. Again, one of the things I always heard from like Rich Fronin and even like most CrossFitters kind of going through the golden age, like 2014 to 2018, when I was kind of listening to it every single second of the day, would be like, lift heavy quite often, get out of breath an awful lot, and go long maybe once or twice a week. And that get out of breath is something that a lot of people lose sight of when they lack the skills. And then all of a sudden they get themselves a couple of bar muscle ups, and then we've all been in that open workout where that member's able to do an EMOM of 1 muscle up, and then they're nowhere near in the open because they've had to do like 10 double unders before it. So it's a matter of just trying to get a bit of a blend of the two. But it's a really good question. It's a matter of marrying up that group and making sure they still feel like they're together.
Also, when the open does tend to roll around, like you say, you know, they do 10 double unders and then all of a sudden they can't do bar muscle ups. So I think it's knowing how to pace the movements before to give you the maximum chance of them being able to do bar muscle ups as well. And that's also a skill in itself. And it could be that first 2 rounds you manage to get some.
Yep.
And the third round they might be gone. That's it. You know, they're not happening. But then easy enough to drop down to chest to bar.
Yep.
Finish, you know, pretty hard in the last 2 intervals. So yeah, good stuff. Saturday.
Yeah, I wrote this one, didn't I?
Big Saturday. You did.
I'm looking forward to this. I'm a big fan.
Show me some inches.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of like, not on the grand scheme of things, it doesn't look like much, but we've all been in one of these workouts or or the kind of workout where it's getting away from us and we start chasing it, and then it starts to break down even more. Whereas today the goal is to, again, a bit like pacing, is to know your level, like know your ability, how hard can you work and still get there. Before it, we've got a bit of a primer. We've got a 3RM touch and go snatch. With these snatches, whenever it just says snatch, it's a squat snatch, scale to a power snatch if you need to. But again, it's a small window, probably going to look at taking a set every 90 seconds to 2 minutes. So we'll kind of get 5 to 7 sets worth of touch and go snatches, just building the load in. And just a real good way of kind of trying to stay smooth on the way down. A lot of people, I notice on a snatch, if they've ever had any kind of shoulder impingement, they'll swing the bar out on the way down. It will hit their hips and then it will go away from them. So then the second and third reps, the bar is miles away from their shins at the start point, which means they're always chasing, they're always having to over pull it back in. So just trying to get yourself on top of the bar, so then it's brushing down the chest and down the thighs and down the shins. It's just a big thing that I always try and have a look at. From a coach's point of view, that kind of 45-degree angle or that side-on view will really show it. Standing straight on, you can see it because it has a momentary stop. It hits their hips and then bumps away. But again, from a coach's point of view, just going to the side will just make your life a little bit easier.
Yeah, just to add to that as well, there's a few different things. So there's the person that never keeps the bar close, and when it comes to bringing it down, it's the same, and straight away it pulls them out of position. So the weight's forward, like they have very little chance of doing, 3 heavy touch and go reps. I think to break it down a little bit more, one way to kind of combat that is like almost breaking the movement down into 2 separate bits. So all I want you to do is keep that bar as close to your body. So bring your elbows down first and then turn them elbows over really fast and stop at the hip. Stop at the hip, so then you can focus on, again, making sure your shoulders are set and then take it down to the floor, going straight back up. So the people that do struggle with that, break it down into kind of 2 parts for the movement so that they can focus on keeping it close. Like Jamie said, the people who are best at doing touch and go snatches are the ones that know how to keep it close on the way down, keep it moving, can use that stretch reflex, can use that momentum to then, help get the bar back up. But if people are really struggling, try and break it into 2. It makes it that little bit easier. And like a pause when you're doing, a lift off the floor, gives people a chance to make sure, I'm in the right position, the coach can tweak it. Right, now go. So, yeah. Cool.
Definitely.
Inches.
Yeah.
Inches.
So, inches by name, inches by nature kind of thing here. This workout was, most workouts now, I'm seeing more and more have an origin story. Like, there's not many workouts that haven't been written and people try to like really change the boat out. But sometimes just a small tweak to a workout will make a big difference. So if I was going to say, if any guesses, see if you can guess before I just tell you now. But this was taken from a quarterfinal workout. Is it quarterfinals? It was quarterfinals last year, where it was a 30-calorie row, 20 burpee box jumps, and then 10 snatches. The weight was slightly heavier, 85 and 50 or 57 and a half. Whereas I flipped it around. So it started with snatches, but I made them squat snatches, but a little bit lighter. Then you've got a double dose of the burpee box jumps, and then you've got those squat snatches at the end. Where the inches come in, we talk a lot about our accuracy and weightlifting and trying to do everything right. And we always talk about doing burpees if we step or make a miss. That's what's going to happen in this workout. So if you make any steps or any mistakes on your snatch, it's a no rep anyway. So it doesn't count as a rep, even if you stand it up and step forward. But then you also have to complete 3 burpees over the bar before you continue on your workout. They can just be done laterally right there, right then. It adds an extra element of like a tic-tac session that we've had previously, is like knowing how hard you can push without making mistakes. I think the people that get the fastest times on this workout, the fastest time would be unbroken, touch and go, no mistakes. The next one would be singles with no mistakes, and then the other variations where you're making mistakes are going to be the ones that cost you time and effort. So yeah, something to try. I think this is written as a whiteboard workout for the athlete plan. I think if we start to look at and being realists, power snatches is going to be something that's going to be in there to make sure that we can maintain quality and good footwork. Also, if you've got a new member, potentially look at reducing the burpee penalty down to maybe 1 burpee or just to stop for a second, just to not overawe them, because they're going to see it and they're going to really panic about stepping forward and stepping backwards. We don't want them to, but we want people to allow, like certainly newer members, to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. So again, have those conversations person by person, and it really does depend on how that member rolls in the morning. If they want a bit of tough love, give them the burpees. If they're feeling a bit beaten up from the week, be a bit nicer to them. And again, that comes from experience. I've definitely been on the other end of like just hammering people, and you don't realise like how shit their day's been.
Savage, Jamie. Savage.
I know. I've learned.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see that workout in action. It's a great little twist with the burpees and like a classic JST maneuver that we obviously like to use as well. So actually putting it into a workout is super cool. When you if you were doing this workout, how would you pace it? How would you attack it?
I would say I wouldn't use the word attack on the front end. I would definitely say I would look at the first 10 snatches and I would be pretty confident that I can hold quite a quick pace on the squat snatches. I'd definitely go drop and go singles on the way out, 100%. I'd do my one, I'd stand up, and I just know that would be the quickest way for me to get back to the bar, quick setup and go. First set of burpees, I'd probably just be moving through them, and whatever pace felt manageable, like a 7 or an 8 out of 10 effort, is the pace that I would do. So I wouldn't worry about trying to get it within a certain time. I would just be doing them. And then one thing I've learned on the rower is the quicker you get on the rower, you can row slower and still get it done. Whereas I know a lot of people kind of go a bit too hard on the burpees and they spend a bit too much time getting themselves to the rower. So I'd get on and just get it moving. And then once I got off there, then it would be the real test of, I would probably do the first few burpees on the back end pretty fast, just to kind of nick a bit of time. But then with kind of 6 to go, I would be like, right, you can't miss the first snatch. And it would start building on you, because everyone knows what that first snatch felt like in the quarterfinals, but we've got more fatigue. It's not that much lighter because we're having to land in the bottom of the squat. And all I would be doing is trying to lock up those lats as tight as possible on that first snatch. Because I know for me, when I just miss it out in front. I get enough height, but I'm just not putting it where I need to go. So, and then I would be, So if I knew I got 3 or 4 in and it was feeling in the slot, I'd start to take a risk. But I would say, like, for me as an average, slightly above average member of the gym, that's when I would start to push my pace with 5 reps to go in the workout. I think if I went any sooner, I think if I was having a good day and the sun was shining, it would be all right. If I was having a bad day, I'd probably do more burpee penalties than I'd actually do burpee box jump. So I'd possibly be all over the place. What about you, Jack? If you were to do this, you like a bit of snatching, you're good grafter. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
From like some of our box owners are probably pretty good level athletes. What would they be looking at doing if you were thinking about it?
Yeah, I think it's good to know how often you can go doing a squat snatch at this weight. So I'd be interested for myself I'd do the first 10 squat snatches, making sure my legs and lower back aren't getting lit up, and just kind of ride that line, as we usually say, so to speak. And I'd take a look at the clock after I'd done that and be like, right, I did that in 110 or 130 or whatever it is. And I'd be like, right, I'm going to try and hit that same pace for the last set of snatches as well. So I'd just be a little bit aware, because I feel like, you can be looking at the clock in between doing reps of the barbell exercise. Same as you on the burpee box jumps and the row. That first set, you potentially could pay for it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, 30 calories on the rower, if you're cruising, it's a good 2 minutes. It's a good 2 minutes to kind of get your heart rate back down, let the legs settle down. So, who knows actually? Maybe it's worth, again, this is where it's quite interesting to find out how your body works, what doesn't work. Could be worth pushing those burpee box jumps a little harder than you think, because 2 minutes on the rower to let things recover might be all good going on to that second set burpee box jump overs. And then again, you could pace the burpee box jump overs that little bit more where you're stepping down, and if you feel like you need to bring that heart rate down before really kind of attacking that last set of squat snatches. And I think you've got to be setting up for each of those squat snatches like it's probably not far off a max lift. So,
yeah.
Again, like if you're a box owner or a competitive member, try and work out different ways or ways that you might not usually. Good to find out what works, what doesn't work, and then you can pass that information on to members as well. So be curious, be excited. I'm excited for this workout. So
yeah. Should be good.
Sunday, fun day.
Yeah, a bit of gymnastics. Again, I think after a pretty tough week, lots of good old fashioned CrossFit, lots of kind of work where the intensity's up. Like we're back into kind of full training after having what we would put in brackets a slightly easier week, but we don't necessarily take them too easy. Some skills on the gymnastics. Sometimes you see this on a Thursday. Going forward, Jack and I were talking before, when the Chester bar gymnastics is not on that Wednesday or that Friday, we'll look at adding some butterfly gymnastic skills and some regular kipping skills on those Thursdays, just to kind of have an additional practice session, because I feel like practice is something that gets not used enough within the CrossFit training methodology. What I mean by that is everyone's trying to push their training, whereas actually practice, I think the most recent case of that is the crossover single under double under thing. That come out and nobody was trying to put those straight in a workout and make the intensity or doing them as Imams. Most people just spent, like I did, 10, 15 minutes a couple of times a week, just practicing the skills, seeing if I got some, if I didn't get some. So again, this is an opportunity to practice. This is a practice session on the gymnastics front. And then we've got a pretty simple workout in teams of 3. So we've got some rest built in. Run 400, and then when you're in your rest period, just accumulate 10 V-ups, just get that midline nicely switched on and primed for the following week.
Awesome. Like you said on the practice front, it's a great point, that, and that was I use my PTs as practice for when I was more of an athlete. So I'd just be doing the basic kip swings, I'd be doing loads of like small butterfly circles, all that sort of stuff. And funnily enough, butterfly Chester bar pull-ups are actually one of my better movements, and it's probably because I spent so much time on the rig demonstrating, practicing, that's probably a contributing factor. So yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Let's wrap it up there.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time.
We've got about 50 parts to this weekly overview, I think.
Apologies on the quality, all. It's internet is awful up north, as per usual.
Mate, you said it.
5G, where you at?
Yeah, I know. It's on its way up. Don't worry, they're cabling it as we speak.
It's on its way up, but not quick enough.
No, not quick enough.
All right, mate.
All right. Good to speak to everyone.
Yeah, catch you soon.